Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Victory Pond and Rangers in Action demonstration. The history of the American Ranger is a long and colorful one, with a proud heritage that dates back some 300 years. During the American colonial period, Ranger techniques and methods of operation are inherent characteristics of our early frontiersmen. As early as the 1700s, these frontiersmen, referred to as Rangers, were patrolling our frontiers, from New England to the Carolinas in defense against the Indians. Probably the most successful and famous of these early units was Rogers Rangers, organized in 1756 by Major Robert Rogers. Presently, more than 400 Ranger units have been organized by such able leaders as Morgan, Mosby, and Darby. Their success and gallantry in combat is legendary. During the Second World War, Ranger battalions operated in the Mediterranean, the South Pacific, and led the way onto the beaches of Normandy. During the Korean conflict, volunteers were formed into airborne Ranger companies. 14 of these companies were trained right here at Fort Benning, Georgia. 6 were committed to combat and continue to uphold the Ranger standards of courage and daring. Presently, 2 Ranger battalions have been activated. The 1st Ranger Battalion at Hunter Army Airfield, Savannah, Georgia, and the 2nd Ranger Battalion at Fort Lewis, Washington. The reactivation of these 2 units has increased the importance of Ranger training because the officers and non-commissioned officers of these units must be a graduate of the Ranger course. The mission of the Ranger Battalion is to plan and conduct special operations in response to political and strategical United States policies and objectives, to go anywhere in the world at any time. To accomplish this, Ranger battalions are organized into 3 rifle companies and a headquarters company, consisting of 37 officers and 553 enlisted men. A Ranger battalion is capable of operating in any climate or terrain independent of immediate support of U.S. or Allied forces. In order to ensure mission accomplishment, each Ranger is highly trained in the use of unique equipment, thus increasing his battlefield capabilities.
Right.
Among a unique training capability is HALO, High Altitude Low Opening, which allows a Ranger team to exit an aircraft in excess of 40,000 feet and descend into a small area. Another unique training capability is SCUBA, self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, which allows a Ranger to stay underwater for long periods of time, clear underwater obstacles and beachheads. Among the unique equipment that is afforded the Ranger is a Starlight Scope. This device allows the Ranger to see during the hours of darkness to a range of 600 meters. Another piece of unique equipment that is afforded the Ranger is the night vision goggles. These goggles were designed for short-range, close-in viewing. Among all these detection capabilities, the Ranger will have a means of decreasing his being detected. In 1951, Chief of Staff of the Army directed that a Ranger training program be established at the United States Army Infantry School, right here at Fort Benning, Georgia. The Ranger course is 8 weeks in duration and is conducted in 3 phases, with each phase being over an independent geographical location, with terrain that varies from steep, rugged mountain peaks to the coastal swamps. The purpose of the Ranger course is to develop leadership capability of selected officers and non-commissioned officers in Ranger tactics and techniques, so that they can, upon successful completion of the Ranger course, return to their units and establish a Ranger training program, thus maintaining the high standard of training that exists in the Army today, and so that every infantry combat unit will have the capability to conduct Ranger-type missions. Ranger training is realistic, rugged, and to a degree, hazardous. Ranger student is taxed both physically and mentally during his 8 weeks of training. In summary, we feel Ranger training is the highest state of combat preparedness training that exists in the Army today. We will now demonstrate a few of the techniques and capabilities the Ranger is taught to use. The first of these will be hand-to-hand combat. Your narrator will be Sergeant First Class Cunningham, a United States Army Ranger.
The average soldier, when trained only in the use of his basic weapon, can lose its effectiveness if his weapon should fail to fire or should it be broken. But with the knowledge of hand-to-hand combat and the confidence and aggressiveness, the Ranger is able to attack and defeat his opponent. We teach hand-to-hand combat for several reasons. First, hand-to-hand combat is an excellent physical conditioner and body toughener. Secondly, hand-to-hand combat builds a spirit of aggressiveness in the individual soldier and instills the will to fight. Thirdly, hand-to-hand combat instills confidence in the Ranger's ability and that of his fellow Rangers. Fourthly, hand-to-hand combat teaches the Ranger techniques of fighting or defending himself when unarmed and confronted with an armed opponent. And finally, our instruction in hand-to-hand combat provide the basic for the Ranger student to set up training in hand-to-hand combat once he returns to his unit. There are several fundamentals we stress in hand-to-hand combat. The first of these is how to use your opponent's momentum to your advantage. You notice that the demonstrator did not try to match his strength against that of his opponent, but to place his opponent in motion by using his momentum against him. The first thing that the Ranger is taught is a good balanced position. As you notice, this is merely a modified boxer's crouch. The weight is distributed evenly on the feet. The hands are carried high in front of the face to protect the face or to deliver a sharp, disabling blow. This is known as the Ranger's physical balance or the on-guard position. You recall when the demonstrators move forward, they growl. We encourage this growl because it upsets the opponent's mental balance, immediately placing him on a defense, thus giving that Ranger that slight advantage. The final two fundamentals that the Ranger is taught is that of accuracy and speed. With emphasis placed on the fundamentals, the Ranger will develop accuracy. Speed comes only through practice. Now, throughout the 4-minute phase of his training, he is taught various throws, holds, takedowns, and counters. We will now demonstrate a few that we teach. First, the basic hip throw. We also teach takedowns such as the cross hawk takedown. And the front leg takedown. Notice that the demonstrator up in a very vulnerable position. To return from the defense to the offense, we teach the Rangers a series of counters. For example, counter to the rear strangle hold. In the event that the Ranger should find himself confronted with an opponent armed with a knife, and he himself be unarmed, we teach the Ranger technique of knife disarming counters. Counter to the downward stroke of the knife. You notice here that the major objective is to gain possession of the knife. Throughout the forbidden phase of his training, he is taught very knife fighting technique. He is taught how to hold the knife, the knife fighting stance, the modified stance, and the vulnerable parts that is where to strike the opponent with the knife. Counter to the upward stroke of the knife. Since the rifle with the bayonet is the weapon that the Rangers are most likely to encounter on the battlefield, we teach the Rangers technique of rifle bayonet disarming. Counter to the thrust. Since range operations are conducted behind enemy line, frequently the Ranger will have the necessity of silencing an armed sentry. One method of doing this is the rail stranglehold. At this time, Lieutenant Rich will place the takedown on Staff Sergeant Tony. Notice the stealth and the cunning that he will be using against that of his opponent. The clapping sound you hear is not a sound of joy, but it is a signal that is worked out between the two demonstrators to prevent serious injuries.
Hey man, what's wrong with you? You kicked me 2 times trying to choke me to death.
Can't take you get on out of the fire.
Oh, you ain't got to choke me that hard. It's on a demonstration. Tell you what, look here. Why don't you be my friend this time? And I'll buy us a couple cases of beer when we finish. Right there. How about it? I'm buying.
Oh, that sounds good.
I'll teach you.